Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to cover the top 4 best chess opening traps that have a smothered checkmate. Let's get started. So coming in at the number 4 spot, we have the Caro-Kann trap for the white pieces. It comes after pawn to e4, and black plays pawn to c6, the Caro-Kann defense. And we're going to play the two knights attack with knight to f3, black plays pawn to d5, and now knight to c3 here. Black almost always trade on e4, it is the best move. We will take back, and now black plays knight to f6, and instead of trading knights here and going into the mainline position, we will play a very tricky move, queen to e2, defending our knight like this, and black has to be extremely careful on their next move not to blunder the game away immediately. They might not want to trade on e4, since even though it is objectively the best, if you do not know this beforehand, it kind of looks like we just get a really active queen in the center and more development of our knight, but they also might not want to play a move like bishop to f5, since now we can trade on f6, and the difference here is that now our queen is on e2, which is pinning the e-pawn, so they cannot capture back their e-pawn, so they have to take back their g-pawn, which is just super ugly. So because of that, a lot of people here will make the fatal mistake of playing knight to d7, defending their knight with the other knight. However, this is a complete blunder due to the very nice knight to d6, and this is smothered checkmate. First off, they cannot capture with their pawn because, once again, the queen pins the pawn here, the knight checks the king, and the king is completely submerged in by its own pieces, and this is simply checkmate. Coming in at the number 3 spot, we have the Blackburne-Schilling Gambit trap for the black pieces. It comes after pawn to e4, we play pawn to e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, very standard, and now the move bishop to c4, the Italian game. And here we will play a very dubious gambit, knight to d4, the Blackburne-Schilling Gambit. This move hops our knight into the center, and white's best way to play is to simply trade knights in the center, and this is why it is considered to be very dubious. However, a lot of beginner players here will make the mistake of accepting the gambit by taking on e5. But this is actually a mistake because now we play queen to g5 here. We attack their knight, we attack their g2 pawn, and white can still save themselves with a worse position if they play either bishop takes on f7 or castles here. However, so many beginners will make the fatal mistake of playing knight takes on f7, getting way too greedy, forking our queen and rook, seeing that they're just going to win our rook on the next move, but this is actually a complete blunder because now queen takes on g2. We attack their rook, their only way to save it is to move it over to f1, and now we play queen takes on e4. We check their king, and they only have 2 legal moves here. The first is to block the check with their queen, but we can simply take it with our knights, that's no good. So most people here will play the move bishop to e2, and it looks like white is all but safe, but we have a really nice move here to win, knight to f3, smothered checkmate. Once again, they cannot take the piece that is in front of their king because our queen pins it. Once again, the knight checks the king, and it is completely boxed in by its own pieces, and this is just smothered checkmate. Coming in at the number 2 spot, we have the Kieninger trap for the black pieces. It comes after pawn to d4, and we play knight to f6, the Indian game, pawn to c4, and now the move pawn to e5. This is the Budapest Gambit, a bit of a dubious gambit, but not as much as the Blackburne-Schilling Gambit. They will capture, and now we play knight to g4. Try and win the pawn back. Obviously, white is not just going to give us the pawn, so they will play bishop to f4, defend the pawn. Now knight to c6, add another attacker. They play knight to f3, another defender, and now we play bishop to b4 check. We check their king, and they're going to want to block it with their undeveloped knight, and they don't really want to go to c3, since then we can just trade here, and they have doubled isolated c-pawns, which is just absolutely terrible. So instead, they're probably going to play knight to d2, and now we play queen to e7. We add another attacker to the e-pawn, and they actually cannot defend it anymore, so a lot of people here will play the move pawn to a3. Attack our bishop, try to get it out of this pin situation here, but this is actually a bit of, not of a mistake, however they are very likely to fall into a trap after knight takes on e5. And this move might look ridiculous at first, since can't they just capture our bishop? And if they do, they have fallen into the trap because knight to d3 is smothered checkmate. Once again, they have a pawn in front of their king that cannot capture because our queen pins it. The knight checks the king, and it is completely boxed in by its own pieces, so this is smothered checkmate. One thing you do want to know if you are going to play this trap is that if they do not capture your bishop but instead take on e5, in this position here, you do not want to take back immediately, since then they can just take your bishop and you actually are down a piece. Instead, you want to play bishop takes on d2 with check first, white takes, and now you take their bishop, and this is pretty much an even position. Coming in at the number 1 spot, we have the Fritz trap, or aka the improved Blackburn Shilling Gambit trap. It comes after pawn to e4, we play pawn to e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and we get the same opening, bishop to c4, but instead of playing knight to d4 immediately, we instead play knight to f6 first, and this trap actually comes out of the move knight to g5. White is trying to fried liver us on this f7 pawn. We will play pawn to d5, block out the bishop, they will capture, and now we play the very tricky move knight to d4, hopping our knight into the center, and the extremely common mistake for white to play here is pawn to d6. The reason they play this move is that it reopens their bishop, so they're going to capture this pawn on the next move. And the thing is, we actually want them to capture this pawn. We'll play queen takes on d6. A very surprising move, since now, just white takes on f7, and aren't we just getting forked here? The answer is yes, but we actually do not care about our rook at all. We play queen to c6, attacking their bishop, but more importantly, we attack the g2 pawn, and you can start to see that this is very similar to the Blackburn Shilling Gambit trap. And after they take our rook, they have some other moves, but they all follow the exact same pattern. After they take our rook, instead of taking the bishop, that is still good, but even better, is to take on g2 here. Attack the rook, and you can see it is basically the same as the Blackburn Shilling Gambit trap from this point on. They have to move the rook over to defend it, and now queen to e4 check. We check their king. Once again, if they block their queen, we can just capture with our knight, and this is just easy to win. So most people here play bishop to e2, and now once again, we get the very nice knight to f3, smothered checkmate. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff, and I will see you next time. Have a fantastic day.